Hey there, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. My name is Raven, and today we are going to be working on my office to try and make it a little more accessible for my needs. My old computer desk causes a lot of back pain and it's kind of falling apart, so I kind of just want to use it as a spot for my Cameo and my printer to sit so that I can like print and cut stickers if I need to, and then move over to a different desk. I also want to keep my other desk as a designated sewing space. So until we can afford to buy a third desk for my office, I am going to be using this old side table with a monitor stand that we got from my husband's family. It was a hand-me-down, is very well worn, needed to be refinished, and I really wanted it to match the rest of my office, so I had to get rid of the brown stain that was on it. I started the day off with some desperately needed coffee and some time to crochet because I wasn't going to get very much time for it once this project started. Also ran out of yarn for the project that I was working on. I just wanted to get in some crochet before I started because I knew I was going to get pretty enveloped in the project. Here is the before of the office. It has been a slow evolution over time because we're working with budgets and energy restrictions. But I've been working on my laptop in this recliner or on the floor for a pretty good while just to make sure that I actually liked working in this spot before I decided to get invested in rearranging the whole room. Honestly, this is such a good spot because there's not a lot of glare on my screen and it's really cozy, and I love having my little lights over here. And I like working from my laptop, but my desktop is a bigger screen and it's just a little bit easier, and I like having my laptop already in the living room so that I can like play Sims at night. Just all together, wanted a more permanent workspace. I was breaking down and resetting my workspace at the beginning and end of every day to keep my rabbits from getting to my laptop charger. Goodness, they have tried. They love their spicy hay. Really, everything needed to be rearranged, and it was all hinging on me being able to move my computer off of the desk that I couldn't use anymore. I wanted to be really prepared for sanding because I do not do well in the outdoors in the summer. I've never done well with it in the first place, and now I'm on several medications that make me more sensitive to the heat, and I've always had issues with sunlight being overstimulating and with getting dizzy and breaking out in heat rashes when I get overheated. So in general, just not a fun time. Not a fun time in the summer. I also have chronic pain that throughout most of my body, so I needed to work around all of those things that can worsen each other, just make me feel altogether shitty and less able to be productive or just like enjoy existing. I wore my shoes with good arch support, and then I also applied and reapplied sunscreen throughout the day. I did use bug spray, but I sprayed it on outside with the doors closed to prevent it from getting into the house and bothering the rabbits and just getting in the house in general. I also was setting timers for 15-minute intervals so that I was not outside for too long. All of these time lapses that you're gonna see, I was only outside for 15 minutes at a time, and I was still breaking out in rashes and just in general, not doing well. Most importantly, I had a bottle of iced liquid IV and a baseball hat if the sun got in my eyes. I think I had about 2 packets of liquid IV a day during this project. Normally I just have 1 a day. I prefer not to go more than that because they are kind of expensive if you're buying them in the small box. Definitely didn't want to go through too many, but also needed to use them. Once all of my neeps were prepped, I started cleaning the table. We were handed this down from my husband's family, and it has been well worn and pretty well used. It's not a bad table, it's just not our personal style, but it is actually a really nice quality piece of furniture. It's nice, good, heavy wood, which I found out by dropping it on my foot at some point, which, oh god, that really hurt. It's just been sitting in my sunroom holding plants for a pretty long time now. It had some cobwebs and muck that needed to be cleaned off before I got started. Once I was outside, just 15-minute timers, and then I made myself come back inside to cool off. Later, about halfway through the process, I did actually move everything inside, and I wish I had done that from the start. First day of sanding, I got most of the tabletop done, which was the main priority for me. The design of the table includes some groove lines around the side. I don't have a visual issue with that, but I just know from the coffee table we have that kind of matches this, that crud and crumbs and gunk just gets stuck in there. I wanted to sand it down just a little bit and then fill in the grooves with some wood filler. I would love to say that I am really neat and tidy at my desk, but I am not. And I didn't want crumbs and who knows what else getting stuck in the grooves and then getting stuck to my keyboard or drawing tablet. It is, ugh. That, and since I've moved the desk in here, there's so much rabbit hair getting stuck everywhere because my rabbits like to sit just under my desk and hang out with me while I'm working, and mischief sheds oh so very much. When I had enough of sweating my butt off, I came inside and immediately jumped in the shower. Mayhem likes to wait for me in our bedroom when I get out of the shower, and it's so freaking cute. After the shower and skincare, I had some instant noodles for some good sodium, and I watched some superhero cartoons on Max because Netflix had betrayed me. I just wanted to watch Beastars. I just restarted it yesterday. Oh no. Mischief, you got down there. You can get back up. Yes, you can. Sir. Do you need help? Mischief? Do you need help? Okay, I'm coming. Oh, never mind. I'm not coming. You guys go be cute and cuddly and all that shit. The next day was a really bad mental health day. I was hoping that it would get better after my therapy appointment, but when I went to go film editing notes, I ended up completely crumbling. My depression was getting really bad and I was feeling really isolated. In the past, when I've gotten to this point, I've tried to push through the feelings and focus harder on my projects and my videos to bury the feelings until I burned out. Since I'm trying to learn how to operate without burning myself out, I had to make the decision to take this day as a rest day, even though I was worried about losing momentum on the table and the video and I didn't want to sit with my feelings. It sucked, but sitting in my office with my weighted blanket and basically treating it like a sick day did help, and it did help it to suck a little bit less, and I feel like I recovered a lot faster than I have in the past when I did push through. I feel really awkward talking about this because I don't want people to think that I'm sharing it for attention or pity, but I want it to be more normal and for people who are also having bad, no good days to feel less alone in having those bad, no good days. The day after the no good, really bad day, I felt better enough to try and focus on rebuilding my routines and to continue with the table. However, the sun and air quality did not agree with this plan. It was really hot and I didn't realize that the air quality was complete trash until I had been outside in it and experienced it for myself. It was atrocious. Okay, I bought these, which are supposed to work with my sander. It says that they have a pressure sensitive adhesive, and I've taken the paper off and I still keep having issues with it just like popping off. I just took the battery out and like used it to smush it into my sander, which hopefully didn't damage anything, but I didn't want to just like scrape my hands against sandpaper. What I have been doing and working with, but is probably sketchy as hell, is I've been taking these, which are obviously not meant for my sander, and just cutting them into shape. I'm hoping this works because I ran out of all of my 80 grit sheet and I only have 120 grit and these are 100. So I hope this works. I don't know. I literally got everything ready to go outside and then brought it all back inside after less than 15 minutes. It was completely miserable out there. I considered moving everything to the workshop that we have in the backyard, but one, that's supposed to be my husband's workspace. He doesn't use it, but I still just like want to respect his space. I didn't want to carry everything through the grass and in the heat over to it because that table is actually pretty heavy, and with how short my arms are, it's kind of hard for me to hold and carry. laundry, and that also would have to include all of my camera gear, and that just did not sound appealing. And there's also no ventilation or anything in the shop, so it's actually way hotter in the shop. The only benefit is that it would have been sun cover. Everything else would have actually been way worse. I learned this lesson last year. I decided to bring everything back inside. I moved the rugs and everything that could be moved over to the other side of the room, and then everything that couldn't be moved. Oh, I actually think I did this the next day, but I wrote it wrong in my script. Oh well. Eventually I covered everything in trash bags that couldn't be moved, that I didn't want to get ruined or covered in dust. I was really nervous to use the sander on the first day, and I tried to get some sanding sponges, or I tried to use some sanding sponges that I had on hand, but they had been used on some other projects, and they were also just not enough to like really deal with this whole table. It's actually a pretty big table. I did eventually just go ahead and use the electric sander, and if I had decided to rearrange the room and start the whole project inside, not have to go outside and not have to move everything as many times, I think this project would have been like half as long, because it was so much more hospitable and so much more comfortable in the house. I think one of the cool things about being an adult is that you can decide that you're gonna do something in the house, even if it's going to be messy, and then you can just clean up the mess when you're done, and it's all good. Everything's fine. It took a few days, an extra day of mental health day, but the table was finally as sanded as I cared to get it sanded, and it was time to start dealing with the wood filler. I originally started trying to use a rag like the directions on the back said to, and it just felt really messy, so I ended up grabbing a little scrapey tool that came in one of my vinyl work kits. That worked so much better. I just like wiped the filler off the scrapey tool on the rag, so everything was pretty good. I was worried that I was getting carried away towards the end, but honestly, I could have kept going. I could have kept going because there's a few divots that are still pretty visible under the paint. I don't think I got carried away at all. I shouldn't have reined myself in like that. I should have just gone with it. This time, I had to take a day off because of my physical health, not my mental health, because storms kind of kick my butt, and they make my chronic pain quite a bit worse, and they make my dizzy spells a little more sensitive. So I took the day off to just enjoy the rainy day vibes and to let the wood fill dry. Once everything was dry and not making me dizzy, we were in the home stretch and almost done with the main thing to do on our list. I finally got to paint the table. I used some of the excess paint that we had left over from when we painted the accent wall in our bedroom. It's a really nice shade of black in a satin finish. I showed the label in case anyone is curious, but it was what we already had on hand, and I've also used it on a couple of other projects. I actually have another little magazine table next to my side table now that I painted with it poorly, and it was going to be a video, but I did a really bad job on it and was like, I'll come back to that and fix it eventually. I think it's been over 6 months now. I have no idea when I'm gonna finish it or if it's gonna happen. I would like it to, but right now it's not a priority. I think the table needed about 2 coats of paint to be like nice and opaque. This paint is actually, I love this paint. It's actually really fun to work with. Then I let it dry overnight. Now that the table was finally done and it had time to dry, it was time to finally rearrange like 3/4 of my office. My goal wasn't to get the room completely in a perfect state in one go. It was just to have the room more structured enough that I could easily finish a space at a different time in the future. So the first thing I started was on my little computer corner. I ended up pushing the table all the way into the corner and having a monitor stand that I actually spray painted last year in a vlog. Put my all-in-one desktop on there. I have a magazine table that I already mentioned, and that is where my microphone lives when I'm not using it to record videos, and it's also a home for my iPad when I'm editing so that I can like have YouTube or Netflix playing, which is really fun. I was hoping that I could sit in my recliner to work on the computer. I gave up on that after about 2 days because trying to get it close enough to the computer for me to like use a keyboard and all of that, no, not even worth it. I've been using this setup long enough to say that I am going to be changing it, but it's not gonna change until I can afford the new furniture pieces that I want and get some supplies to adapt the pieces to my needs. But for now, it's unconventional but functional, and it works, and I'm comfortable. Getting the dresser out of the closet wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. The closet doesn't have flooring in it, so it's like an inch deeper than the rest of the room, and it's not gradual, it's like quite abrupt. So I was really afraid of like the dresser losing balance and falling while I tried to pull it out. I was scared it was going to be a little bit finicky, but luckily it was not too hard to balance and I was able to get it out pretty easily. I used the dresser to keep some of my shipping supplies in, but a few weeks ago we actually moved all of the dressers that we're not using into the sunroom so that we have more clothes storage to protect things from like dust. So now I have my medium Calax in here where the dresser is, and it just matches the furniture that I already have in here because all of it is just the brown black stuff from IKEA, and it's also a good form of storage because I can see what's in it since it's all open. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with me today. This video has been a beast to edit. I've been working on it for so much longer than my normal videos, so I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you like the vlog, like these project vlogs where I show what I do on my days off, not just the, you know, project vibes. My office is obviously still a massive work in progress, but considering that it used to be a room that I actively avoided being in and now it's a space that I really like spending time in, I feel like it's definitely getting better. Hopefully it won't be too long until I can afford the furniture that I have my eye on and everything can get smoothed out. But until then, hit like if you like cozy vlogs, leave me a computer emoji in the comments, let me know that you stayed until the end, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!